The film is set in New York. A 12-year-old girl named B is brought to live with her grandmother, who has kept all of her granddaughter's drawings. One evening, returning from the store, B sees a silhouette of a girl watching her near the house. Realizing she's been noticed, the stranger hurries up the stairs and locks herself in an apartment. In front of the stranger's door, B says she lives in the apartment below, has no friends, and just wants to say hi to the girl. However, a man from inside the apartment tells her through the peephole that there is no girl there. The next day, B visits her father in the hospital, who is about to undergo surgery. Always positive, her father reassures her and promises that she won't lose him like she lost her mother. In one of the wards, B meets a friendly boy named Benjamin, who is being treated for a broken leg. Returning home, B hears familiar voices and footsteps in the evening. B decides to follow her neighbor, who unexpectedly climbs into the window of a nearby house. After some time, she sees him climbing back out. However, he is followed by a large purple creature. Meanwhile, seeing a friendly creature about her size with antennae on its head and wearing a dress, B loses consciousness. After some time, B wakes up in the apartment upstairs. She meets a smiling furry giant named Blue. A girl named Blossom offers B tea and tells her there is nothing to be afraid of. The man's name is Cal. He tells B that they know each other. She just doesn't remember him from childhood. Blossom explains that they are imaginary friends, and there are many of them. The children who imagine them have grown up, and the imaginary friends have become uninteresting to them. Now, the imaginary friends are looking for new friends because they are afraid of disappearing. But so far, without success. The girl in the apartment from which Cal took Blue simply doesn't see imaginary friends, like many others. It's late. They wish each other good night, and B goes back to her apartment. In the morning, B goes to the hospital to see her father again. In the corridors, she sees Blue, who decided to follow her. B fears that others will think she is strange and talking to herself. Annoyed, she then takes Blue back home. The imaginary friends tell her that she is the chosen one. They ask B to help them find new friends. B hesitates at first, but eventually agrees. Cal then invites her to go to a closed park for help. On the way, Cal explains that he has been seeing imaginary friends for as long as he can remember. They are tag-alongs, and he can't abandon them. The friends finally arrive at their destination. In one of the attractions, there is a secret entrance. Inside, there is a building where all sorts of imaginary friends live. Cal gives B a brief tour and then takes her to meet the founder of the place, an elderly large plush bear named Louis. Louis tells B that Cal used to be a clown and his sole purpose was to make her laugh. By the way, this place can change with just a bit of imagination. B immediately decides to give it a try and successfully changes everything around to her liking. She has a great time in this magical place. Then, she and Cal say goodbye to the imaginary friends and head outside. The next day at the hospital, B asks Benjamin if he would like to have an imaginary friend. He says yes. Then, B, along with Cal and Louis, conducts interviews among the imaginary friends. In her notebook, she sketches them and notes their characteristics and traits. B then brings some of them to Benjamin and asks if he can see anyone. However, the boy doesn't see the charismatic magician mouse, the superhero dog in a mask and cape, or the large toasted marshmallow. To her disappointment, he doesn't see the fluffy Blue either. After this, the imaginary friends return home empty-handed. After talking with Louis, B comes up with the idea to help grown-up children who imagine these friends remember them. At dinner, B learns from her grandmother that she used to be into dancing as a child. She has many photos from those times, and in one of them, B notices Blossom. After this, B invites Blossom to her home. Blossom confesses that she has come here many times, but BEA's grandmother doesn't remember or see her anymore. B decides to play music from a record, and she and Blossom hide behind the couch. Hearing the music and not seeing anyone in the room, the woman starts dancing. At this moment, Blossom temporarily glows bright red and joyfully realizes she won't disappear because she has been remembered. The next day, an imaginary friend spy helps locate a man named Jeremy who once imagined Blue. The big fluffy creature recognizes him. Jeremy is currently stressed, rushing to an important interview. The group follows Jeremy to the office and sits next to him in the waiting room. Bee opens a box of Jeremy's favorite childhood croissants. Blue then places a hand on Jeremy's shoulder and tells him he's doing great. Jeremy is cheered up by his imaginary friend as in his childhood. A joyful Blue then gratefully hugs Bee near the elevator. Later, Bee's grandmother tells her that they need to get ready to go to the hospital to see her father. The imaginary friends decide to accompany her. The surgery goes well, but Bee stops seeing her friends afterward. Returning home, Bee goes upstairs and knocks on Cal's door. However, a neighbor in the hallway tells a surprised Bee that no one has lived there for a long time. Sometime later, Bee and her father are getting ready to go home. Some of Bea's drawings accidentally fall out of one of the boxes. On one of them, she sees a clown she once drew and named Calvin. Bee realizes that Cal is her imaginary friend. She quickly goes upstairs. Bee regrets not remembering him sooner. Cal is mistaken if he thinks she has grown up and no longer needs him. She will never forget him, even when she grows up. All she has to do is close her eyes, and all the memories come alive. After this, Cal, dressed as a clown, appears before Bee with a balloon flower. He glows red and won't disappear either. Then, Bee and her father return home. While unpacking, her father trips over an invisible imaginary friend named Keith. Meanwhile, Cal, now reinvigorated, helps people remember their forgotten imaginary friends: a spy, a unicorn, a little dragon. Benjamin also finds himself a friend. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss out on new videos. Thanks for watching.